what you need, whatever you need. We're going slowly, slowly, and we're going to sit quietly and gather our energy and not be rushing. When we rush, we lose our present moment awareness, right? Yeah. But let's begin with a meditation intending to awaken, that we might be of the greatest benefit to each and every single sentient being. Please bring your energy into the room. Be here in this room at this time. We have to feather our nest, make sure everything is just right. As we bring our energy into our bodies and feel the whole body present here. Notice the state of our mind and the state of our body. And in order to settle into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance, I invite you to bring your awareness to the crown of your head. And allow it to slowly descend. Notice your brow and your eyes. Release any tension. Soften. Relax. Float down to your jaw. Let your jaw relax and notice what it feels like when all your facial muscles have succumbed to gravity. Come into the back of your neck and across your shoulders. Let them lift a bit and then fall. And notice that we've completely relaxed them. Float down your arms. Past your elbows, past your wrists, into your hands, to the tips of your fingers. Feel your hands resting gently in your lap. Then return to the nape of the neck and begin to float down your torso. Noticing your spine is straight as you come down to your shoulder blades, relaxing, and your chest, relaxing. Down to the small of your back, all the way to your sit bones. Let your belly be soft. Let it receive the full breath. Let your glutes be soft as you float down through your thighs. Your hips relaxed. Giving tender energy to any place that is feeling a little tight or unwell in any way. Past your knees, down your calves, your ankles, the soles of your feet and the tips of your toes. Let every cell of your body totally and completely relax. A sense of warm, gentle, loving energy, peaceful, content, present. Feel the places where your body touches the seat, the cushion. A sense of safety, well held by Mother Earth. How wonderful. begin to feel the energy of the breath in the body, noticing the movement in harmony with stillness. Lungsem Jukpa Chikpa. The mind, the wind, and the mind ride together. When we're moving, the mind is moving. We cultivate stillness, total stillness, to bring the mind to a place of stillness. And recognize that attending in a single pointed fashion to the sensation of the breath at the tip of the nostrils, that we experience that sensation in stillness. The body simply breathes. For 10 cycles, inhaling and exhaling as one. Attend to that sensation at the tip of the nose as the body breathes. Now, I invite you to bring to mind someone who manifests all the awakened qualities that you wish to have. It could be the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, your heart teacher, anyone for whom you have great admiration for their qualities of love, compassion, wisdom, and skillful means. And see them in front of you as the actual Buddha manifesting here for you in the form of your beloved teacher. And surrounding you by all sentient beings, we turn for refuge. Sange churang soki chognam la janchu bardu dagni kyabsuchi dagi jinsogi pe sonam ki drola panchir sange druparshug. Sange churang soki chognam la janchu bardu dagni kyabsuchi dagi jinsogi pe sonam ki drola panchir sange druparshug. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. So in that way, we take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We take refuge in the enlightened mind, in seeing emptiness directly, and we take refuge in the Arya beings who have. But we also take refuge in the mind of enlightenment, in seeing emptiness directly, and the Arya beings who have. And we take refuge with confidence. This is the most important one. This is our ultimate refuge, taking refuge in confidence that the nature of our own mind is wisdom. Its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. So then please think, may I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results. Aim for liberation through renunciation, be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. Please, may I become a fully awakened Buddha for the welfare of all beings. So now imagine that all of the awakened ones of the universe dissolve into your Lama in front of you. And accepting your request for this blessing, they melt into a small sphere of light and come to the crown of your head, and then begin to slowly descend down through the center of your body, coming to rest at the level of your heart. This allows your body to be filled with their warmth of loving kindness. Allow your awareness to experience that, your whole body filled with the loving kindness of your heart Lama, who is a manifestation of all of the awakened ones of the three times. And now I invite you to take your awareness in the aspect of this light of loving kindness up through the crown of your head into the sky, where you can look down upon planet Earth, covered with many, many beings. Imagine that. Recognize that all over the earth there are beings working in so many ways that benefit you. Growing and distributing our food, making our clothing and other essential goods. We're all interconnected. We are interdependent, even down to the billions of insects. And let your wish to become fully awakened shine out to encompass them all. Those you love, those with whom you disagree, and those you have yet to meet. realize that each and every one wants happiness and freedom from pain. Like you in this way, we are one world family, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama often expresses, one world family. And your bodhicitta, the wish to awaken for the welfare of all beings, grows. It is compassion conjoined with wisdom that are the two wings that fly us to enlightenment. So we allow our wisdom to grow as well. It's often stated that for the Mahayana path to enlightenment to be fully effective, there must be a union of compassionate method and insightful wisdom. So let your activated wisdom, as Lama used to call it, and your compassionate energy begin to contract back from all the outer reaches of the universe and rest back at your heart center. And sit for just a moment in this compassionate, loving wisdom. Wishing for all beings to be happy. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about wisdom now. Wisdom is an understanding that reality exists as an illusion. An illusion. Or as a dream, they often say. It doesn't have even an atom of true existence. And this is the wisdom of emptiness. Lama Zopa Rinpoche often called it a hallucination. It's a hallucination. It's not the same kind of hallucination that we had when we were taking drugs, or if somebody is sick, hallucinating. It's not that kind of a thing. Our hallucination is more perverse and more pervasive. Ours is, it arises for all of us unenlightened ones, this belief in the inherent existence, that everything is solid, right? And without any investigation, we misknow. We think we know, but we've got it wrong. And that's our problem because we don't investigate. And the path to investigation is meditation. In order to investigate, we have to engage in meditation because things appear from their own side as a concrete reality. And unless we actually investigate, it's just going to be repetitive, continuing. So Buddhism is the study of the mind, and it is the mind that creates our world. fabricates our world. It's a fabrication. So it's a method. Meditation is a method to explore how it is that the mind fabricates our experience of the world. So taming the mind, it's important to remember this, that taming the mind doesn't mean eliminating outer objects or suppressing inner thought. It's not like that. It means revealing and maintaining a natural state of the mind that is there in every moment, right now, in this moment. It's simply keeping the mind in its fundamental state where its clarity and wisdom are revealed or activated. We're awake and we're aware. And I would say on top of that, we have studied the causes of happiness. We have studied how to behave, how to create happiness in our world. So coming to a state of recognizing that the mind is empty, spacious, and pure from the beginning, understanding that, then understanding, being able to see what's arising in my mind. What is the habit of my mind? If we don't look, we won't see. The true nature of our mind is calm and clear, and it's full of compassion and wisdom. So it's not like we're conjuring anything that's false. We're just revealing. It's like parting the veil. So the more deeply we understand the nature of our mind, this vast human potential, the greater is our understanding of interconnectedness with all beings. Why is that? If we understand our own mind completely, if we actually see that our mind is empty, spacious, pure, luminous clarity, filled with compassion, then why does that bring us to more interconnectivity with others? Hmm? And what do you see when you do that? What do you see when you do that? When you let go of your own ego grasping, then how does that show you that you are interconnected? Yeah, that's good. Yes, when you realize that we're all in the same leaky boat and you see a way out, you see that they also have a way out, right? We all have the potential to be free from this, to be liberated from this merry-go-round of pain. It's possible. Um, how we realize how happiness and suffering exist and how we create it. And once we realize how we create it, we can begin to change the habits of our mind. But it's through practice, it doesn't come by the by. It's through practice. It's through recognizing, I spoke like that. I acted like that. It wasn't helpful. This was the result it produced. So when you recognize that, purification of the mind comes when we first recognize that we behaved in an unhelpful way and that we wish not to do it again. And then we take refuge in the opposite. We take refuge in knowing how to behave, and we make a strong determination not to do that again. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't do it again because it's our habit. It's our habit. But if each time we recognize and we apply the antidote, then slowly we whittle away at the negative states of mind that keep arising. They begin to stop arising. They just don't come that much anymore. More and more we practice loving kindness, compassion, and understanding that being irritated or prideful or doubtful or hateful or grasping desire, any of those all move us away from a state of peace, which is the very definition of a non-virtuous thought. That which moves the mind from a state of peace keeps us trapped. We see how it is that self-cherishing keeps us trapped. So I recently came across a book. It's a debate between ignorance and wisdom. It was called Self-Grasping and the Wisdom Realizing Selflessness. So it directly addresses the third principal aspect of the path, which is wisdom. So it starts with a quote by Master Chandrakirti. It says, seeing with awareness that all afflictions and faults arise from the view of the transitory collections, and recognizing the self as its object, yogis strive to negate the self. Please.
How does that, though, relate to the recognition of the interconnectedness?
Oh, we're moving on to, okay, good question. How does that relate to the interconnectedness? Coming from this idea that we are all interconnected, it comes to the space that we all have the same foundational mental state. We all have empty, spacious, yes, we all have this empty mind. I'll tell you a funny story. My partner, Keith, and a good friend, when they graduated from college, took a trip to Peru and all around South America. They were gone for a couple of years after graduating. And when they came back, they went to Massachusetts, where he lived, his friend lived, and they went to see his family. And I think that they were describing the nature of mind as empty to the father. That there wasn't anything to, that's why they didn't want to go to graduate school. There wasn't any need, there was a foundational emptiness there. And his father said to him, What? I spent $100,000 to send you to Harvard, and your mind is as empty as your wallet? So it is kind of really to understand that what it means for the mind to be empty. It means that it isn't imbued with all of this ongoing circular thought, feeling, emotion, that those are, what do they call it? Adventitious. They arise when the condition appears, the thought comes, but they are not part of the mind. So let's unpack that quote. If we say, knowing that all great suffering, all afflictions, and failure to do the right thing, all faults, they come from our way of looking at, or the view of a group of objects or parts that are constantly changing. They come together for a short duration. So then, from our way of looking at it, this is what creates it. So then we might say that great suffering and harmful actions are due to our way of looking at the five aggregates. So we really see them as a solid thing. We really see this person, me, myself, and I, our triple gem, as a solid, unchanging entity. We don't recognize that moment by moment, it is changing. So if we understand that these faults and afflictions come from a misunderstanding, come from ignorance, come from believing in the solidity of these five, So this is a mistaken view that it exists concretely or independently or inherently or has any nature whatsoever. It's completely empty. You can't find it anywhere if you go looking. So one needs to spend some time looking to see out of those 5, are we our body? Where in the body do we exist if we are this body? And we look. And if we think about it, I mean, really, if we analyze that, it's not just a matter of saying, no, I'm not anywhere in the body. It's a matter of really checking. So sometimes people say, oh, I feel like I'm in my head. I am perhaps the brain. But even conventionally, for instance, if someone is very ill and dying and you go to the house to visit them, then you knock on the door and the person who answers the door says, I'm sorry, but John's not here. But his body's there, but he's gone. So we even conventionally don't attribute John to the body, In that way, we can see, we're not our body. So what if we are our mind? So that's where I went with it. Please.
But isn't there a presumption that the nature of change negates the existence of the things that are changing? And that's not really the case, because those things do exist, but they're in flux, they're changing, right?
But they don't exist the way they appear.
True.
That's what we're negating.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So if you think you're not your body and you think that you're your mind, then we have to look at what's in the mind. What part of the mind are we? Feelings, thoughts, emotions. Which one? Which one of those am I? And we conclude that really we can't find an I, a solid self-existent I, anywhere in the body or mind. But when we have that conclusion, it frees us to be able to behave in ways that will produce a happier life, a happier world, and be of benefit to others. But it's not just a one-off. No, we can't just go, oh yeah, okay, got it. That's an intellectual understanding, which actually, as I told Christopher yesterday, that having that intellectual understanding tears a hole in the fabric of samsara. It's not so solid anymore. There's a little bit of a questioning, and that actually is the beginning of freedom. So the idea that there's an independent, inherently existing self is false. And all of our mistakes come from believing that it's true, that we do have an inherent, independent, existing self. So the practice of Mahamudra, which is settling and resting in this empty mind, was taught by Master Tilopa to his heart son Naropa on the banks of the river Ganges. And I would like to use that now for our sort of a guiding path, to use his teaching to guide us in our meditations. Mahamudra in Sanskrit is Upadesha. And in Tibetan, this Ganges Mahamudra is called Chagye Chenpo Mengnak, which means private advice on the practice of Mahamudra. So the meaning of Mahamudra is found in its name. Maha means great, and mudra means seal or symbol. So it refers to the wisdom of emptiness, which is the very nature of our mind and all phenomena. It's what seals everything. So It's the very nature of any object of mind. Any object the mind can observe or become aware of is empty. And because it covers the totality of our experience, it's the great symbol or the great seal or the wisdom of emptiness. And it's known as the all-encompassing reality from which there is no escape and no exception. Sometimes we hear this teaching referred to as Ganji's Mahamudra. And this is what we will be looking at, this text. So Buddhism has many ways, many methods for working with the mind. And one of the most powerful is this ancient wisdom tradition of Mahamudra. As a philosophy, it aims to communicate the clear knowledge of the true nature of our mind. As a meditation practice, it's designed to bring about that experience swiftly and unmistakably. Swiftly and unmistakably. And it's known for its simplicity. So it was in the 70s. I think maybe it might actually have been 79, might actually have been 80. But anyway, Lama Zopa Rinpoche came to Vajrapani and gave an empowerment and a commentary on Mahamudra, which those of us who knew nothing thought that would be the best thing to ask Rinpoche for. And because prior to Rinpoche's arrival, Vajrapani didn't have a gompa, and there were 100 people coming, the crew, the building crew, quickly put up a plywood box, which later became a dormitory, but we called it the summer gompa. It just had screens around the window openings. And it was then transformed into a dormitory. I don't remember very much about those teachings, except they went on very, very late, sometimes into the wee hours, always into the wee hours of the morning. And Lama Yeshe also frequently interspersed Mahamudra teachings in his whatever commentary, whatever practice he was giving. He often did. And when I was in 3-year retreat, which began in 2009, I stumbled on this Ganji's Mahamudra text, and I began to investigate and practice in earnest this one. And it became my sadhana, my daily practice for the last year of retreat. So that was really when I began to practice earnestly. And then more recently, I sat a Mahamudra retreat with Ponlop Rinpoche. So it's a practice that I embrace wholeheartedly. And it's a practice that we can move into in every meditation we do. We move toward it. We've actually been doing it when we sit together already, as we sit resting in the nature of mind. And we think it's something other, it's something other and something special, and we have to, do something different. But really, it's very simple. It's resting in the nature of mind. And the question is, how do you get there? A lot of times people have difficulty getting there. So anyway, we will go through all of that. So the practice is to be genuinely relaxed and aware in every moment, in every situation in life, to accept and appreciate who we are. We begin to see who we are really. So it's an experience of our mind that's completely free and joyful. Yeah? What do you think? So it points us to mind's true nature. Let's see. Okay, it's almost 11, so I think we'll take a little break and then we'll begin with this text. So we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, so you can use the restroom, stretch your legs, and then we'll sit. I'm going to do a little bit of an about face because I realized that I think it's important to talk about how to practice, how to go through the steps to practice. What do you do? How do you do it? And the reason why is Christopher in there?
He's in the kitchen just doing some stuff.
Tell Christopher he has to come here and not do some stuff. I know he's doing lunch, but well, of course he could also, no, this okay. We can all do our lunch together when we get there. We can stir up whatever needs to be stirred up and chop whatever needs to be chopped. We have an hour and a half. It's plenty of time. So yes. Yeah. Otherwise, we should just order pizza, not to have somebody have to be in the kitchen during class.
He's prepping lunch.
You didn't tell him that we could prep lunch? Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to answer his question. Yesterday at my house where I'm staying, he asked me a question, and then I didn't answer it in the moment, but no, it is not a beginning practice. It's a very advanced practice, but there isn't any reason why it can't be glued on to a beginning practice. Yay. It's because I'm going to answer your question.
Oh,
And I didn't want you to be somewhere hidden in the kitchen.
Elaine, I also have a question.
Okay, please.
That was kind of interesting, the statement that it's a beginning practice, because as it was taught to me in at Kapan by the nuns, it was a practice that was for a certain level of after you do your nundro, and then you have some awareness of the bodhisattva, like you're at a certain level of it, and then you're able to apply Mahamudra for a liberated mind. And then when Mahamudra brings you, or you're at the point of liberation or nirvana, and then you still need to practice Mahamudra, you still need to practice things, and then you're right into full enlightenment. And I was really honored that they were wanting and willing to teach me Mahamudra, and it was kind of a goal, a training for me to be able to practice and do Mahamudra, in the idea when I really understood Mahamudra, my mind would be liberated, and thus nirvana, a higher level. And so is it that I should, or we should have completed Nundro to really get the benefits of Mahamudra?
I think to get benefits of Mahamudra, one practices Mahamudra.
Okay.
So we can glue that on to our beginning practices. It's okay. It's okay. It's being taught by, it is, as you say, there is a point in time when you let go of all practice and you're practicing Mahamudra and moving into the highest stages that there are. I'm guessing that's true. But in order to try to understand it, we have to try to practice it. So it's okay to put it, we do that. You recall the meditations that we lead when we go out and take our mind out into the infinitude of space and bring it right back in and dissolve it completely into clear light mind and stay resting in the true nature of mind, that is basically Mahamudra practice.
Mm.
So this teaching from Tilopa just gives some instructions of how to kind of get into that space. Okay, how to get to that, how to see that, how to recognize it, how to train the mind to go there. So there are many different ways of looking in order to, it allows a bit of analysis to come and then say, oh yeah, it is like that. And then you rest in that. So that's what I think is true. I hope that's all good. So importantly, for us to create a more beautiful world for ourselves and for others around us, to create a loving, happy mind, as opposed to a hateful, miserable one, we really need to understand the nature of our mind. So we do have the power to cultivate a happy mind, and we have to believe in that. We have to have confidence that we have that power. And the more we practice, the more we see that we do actually have that power. So the question is, how do we practice every day? How do we establish a practice? What are the steps? So I'm going to go through my practice, and I'm going to tell you what I do and what I have found effective over the years of listening to teachers explain, do this and do that, and this is how you do this and do that. And I think if we can come to a space of understanding that and actually put that into practice, sometimes in a really modified way, and sometimes in a really expanded way. So for me to explain that, I think it's important. So I did say yesterday, I gave you, or maybe it was last weekend, Thich Nhat Hanh's, I wake up in the morning and smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion or eyes of love. So that prayer, like that, creates a glad heart when you first wake up in the morning. There's an intention there. Oh, I woke up. Fantastic. All right, I'd give a little smile. And then I think we set an intention to fully live this day, to really fully live it presently, live it in the present. And then to look at all beings with eyes of love. That changes our attitude in the moment. And if we can hold that and remember that from time to time throughout the day, we can reframe whatever's coming up in our mind. So I conjure that glad heart when I first get up in the morning by thinking that. And then morning ablutions, brush the teeth, get dressed. Now, the getting dressed aspect can also be used as a practice. If you're a tantric practitioner, you can use putting on each piece of clothing as putting on the ornaments of the deity that you are practicing. So I just thinking like that, you put, if you're not a tantric practitioner, it doesn't matter. You can just think about putting on these, I'm going to tell you what they are here in a minute, but think about the 6 perfections as you get dressed. As a bodhisattva, I'm going to put on the 6 perfections. Okay? I'm going to put on generosity. So if you put on a watch, you're putting on or anklets, that's your generosity. You put on slacks or a skirt, or that's your ethical behavior, your ethics, your morality. You put on your earrings, those are your patience. So there are certain things that I do every day that I remember. So when I put my earrings on, I think always I'm putting on my patience. This is my patience, right? If you have a necklace, this is your joyful effort. If you have concentration, your concentration is a hat, your hat. And wisdom is your shirt. So thinking like that, even you just pick one. Just think, okay, that one, and then all the rest. It's like the cause for a precious human life is pure prayer and pure ethics and the rest, meaning the 6 perfections. So if we think like that when we're getting dressed, we're practicing the 6 perfections. That's really excellent. It plants seeds. These are planting seeds. You do it every day. You do it every day. You put a calendar. Monday, I'm going to think about patience. Tuesday, joyful effort. Like that. So then I make some tea or coffee, and I tidy up the room, and then I dust the altar and incense the water bowls. This is what Christopher asked me yesterday. So when the water bowls are already made here, and you can see here there are 7 of them. It's really 8 offerings, and the reason you don't put the 8th bowl up is because the bell that you are playing is your music offering. These are setting these up to make offerings to the outer deity and the inner deity. So those are, the water is a symbol of the 2 waters, which are washing water and water for the drinking water. Drinking argam padyam, drinking water and water for washing your feet. Argam padyam pupe, flowers. Dupe, incense. Dipe, light. Gande, perfume or scented oils. Naivedya, food. And Shabda is music. So those are the offerings that were generally given to people who visited someone in ancient India. You would receive those offerings. So these are offerings. They're symbolic of those kinds of offerings that we would give. And in the process of various practices, like in the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, that the offering cloud mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasattva Paramadana, that one purifies it, increases it into an ocean of uncontaminated pure nectar. So in your mind's eye, you're making that. Before you pour the water, so your incense cups are upside down, right? On the altar. So your incense cups, your water bowls are upside down on the altar. So you light a stick of incense and you pick up the first one, and 3 times swirling, and 3 times swirling, you're eliminating ignorant hatred and ignorant attachment. So each time you do that, be gone, thinking like that. So you're purifying ignorant hatred and ignorant attachment. That's another method for being able to be free of the things that trap us. So then you set that bowl down and you do the rest. And now you've got your purified bowls, and you pick up the first one and you fill it up. And then you set your pitcher down and you take that first bowl and you pour most of it into the second one and set it down. And then you do that on and on and on. You take that bowl and pour it into the third one and the fourth one. And that connotes it's an unbroken lineage of teaching. So now you've got your water bowls on the altar. And depending if you're going to do a Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga or Shakyamuni Buddha, or you have a sadhana that you do, you want to offer these. Now that you've made all these offerings, at some point in time, you will be offering them. So if you're not going to do that, then offer them right now. And get that mantra, the offering cloud mantra, which purifies it, increases it, and then offer it to all the Buddhas, seeing your room full of holy beings, and especially your Lama. What I do with my incense, after I've incensed the water bowls, is that I take it in my hand like this, and I would go to all of those Lama Tsongkhapas and offer, each one of the holy objects in my gompa, and I just offer incense to them. So if you look into the face of your Lama and you're just offering it and you see them smiling, it produces happiness in my mind. When I offer this to Lama Zopa Rinpoche or Lama Yeshe, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the various other lamas and statues and stupas that I have on my altar, it makes me very happy to do that. So the purpose of spiritual practice is said to be to gain knowledge that will reliably produce happiness and eliminate suffering. So by doing that, there's a happy making. Right there is a happy making. If we're doing it in a way that actually we believe that our lamas are experiencing it and we see them being happy. Remember at some point in time when they laughed, when you were in their presence, and see them laugh just like that. So that conjures a sense of happiness in my own mind. So now we've made the offerings, and then we sit down and enjoy our nice cup of tea or coffee and go through some lamrim. Either the three principal aspects of the path, or the source of all my good, or the seventh Dalai Lama's complete path, or this very short, may I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, that one. So you've got 4 possibilities, all varying lengths, to use one of those and pick one. And then as you go through, use it for a long enough time that you can memorize it. And once you've done that, then you can move on to another one. And now you'll have 2 of them. But always, for me, when I memorize something, I always have to recite it at least around once a week in order not to lose it. So now I've had my nice tea. I've done some study of the Lamrim. And now I want to practice, because I've come to that point, of being really wanting to have wisdom and compassion. So now I purify with the 35 Buddha practice. And that one, Venerable Rene mentioned at his last class that he memorized it in 3 different versions, and now he can't remember any of them. So he recorded it, and he just plays the recording. So if you would like to have a recording, either record it yourself or you can ask me, and I have a recording and I'll be happy to send it to you. So when doing that 35 Buddha's confession practice, it's the difference between being present with it and really trying to feel it and just prostrating to whatever recording you're having is phenomenal. So if I have a sheet, I put the sheet out, I put something down for my knees, and then I stand there and I create the visualization. So I have it memorized, so I can be there, and I can see at Geshe-la's house where I'm staying, right where I'm going to do prostrations, there's a very big tanka of Chenrezig, thousand-armed Chenrezig. And this particular visualization for the 35 Buddha practice is to have Shakyamuni Buddha with thousand-armed Chenrezig at his heart. So it's fabulous to have that there, but to be able to, the greater our concentration, the greater our visualization and our ability to hold that in our memory, because you're conjuring a memory of a Shakyamuni Buddha with thousand-armed Chenrezig at his heart, light rays coming from the Hri at Chenrezig's heart, creating elephant thrones adorned with pearls. And then you've got 6 Buddhas in the aspect of Akshobhya, 7 in the aspect of Vairocana, 7 in the aspect of Ratnasambhava, 7 in the aspect of Amitabha, 7 in the aspect of Amoghasiddhi. So those are the 35 Buddhas, and then there are 7 medicine Buddhas. So you know the colors of each one of those, and you know the colors of the Buddhas, so you are able to actually hold that visualization as much as possible. And you're thinking that their rays of lights are, and when you're prostrating, you're thinking that rays of lights are coming from them and purifying you. And particularly when you get started on that, to remember some of the mistakes that you've made. Starting, wishing, I just don't want to do that again. Please, purify that so that doesn't come again in my mind. Don't want that to come. And then when you finish the practice, then the medicine Buddhas dissolve into the Amoghasiddhis, who dissolve into the Amitabhas, into the Ratnasambhavas, the Vairachanas, the Akshobyas, and then into Shakyamuni Buddha, who then dissolves, comes to my crown, dissolves into me, filling me. And I stand there saying to myself, completely purified. Don't have to hold on to any of that, completely purified. To do like that makes a difference in the practice that follows. So I don't do it every single day, so I know the difference when I do it and when I don't do it. And it's only laziness that keeps me from doing it. So then after making prostrations, we establish our meditation posture and we settle into stillness, that do a breath meditation. And as we sit there in stillness, we establish the merit field before us. So that even the merit field can simply be your guru right there, taking the aspect of the Buddha. Or you can have skies of deities. You can fill your room with all of the gurus, all the yidams, deities, yogis and yoginis, bodhisattvas, protectors. But one is just to have a sense that there is an enlightened being there in front of you. And you recall, you surround yourself by the sentient beings, mom and dad and friends and family and the troublemakers, those that you disagree with in front of you, and then all the sentient beings. If you have time, think about the 6 realms. Think about the hell beings and the cause of being born there, the hungry ghosts, the animals, the humans, the jealous gods, the gods. Think about them and bring them here in human form. And then long to free them. Just like you wish to be freed, long to free all of them. Feel it. Think, golly, I really want to attain enlightenment so that I am perfectly capable of saying exactly the right thing in every moment to be able to help others. And that is recalling our intention. So once again, at that point, we recall our intention. And then we engage in our practice, beginning with recognizing for guru devotion, and the 7 limbs. In an abbreviated Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga is beautiful to do. To do the whole Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, it doesn't take very long. Can do. We just have to discipline ourselves to do it. Depending on your practice, if you have a tantric sadhana, to do that sadhana, to learn that sadhana in whatever practice it is, to learn it in a way that you don't have to have the words, read the words in front of you. There's a difference between reading the words, just reading them without, or saying them out loud. You say them out loud, then you hear them. And chanting then on top of it is a more powerful. So the kind of like the 3 levels of power to your practice. And you go through, just like we have done, making the offerings, the 7 limbs, taking refuge, confessing, making offerings, requesting blessings, requesting them to teach, and dedicating our merits for all of that. Rejoicing is also in there. So, and then do that meditation where at the end, you have your Lama dissolve into you. And be present with it. Be present with all of whoever you have invited here, dissolving into your guru, who's made of light, who comes to your crown and dissolves into you. So you are exercising your central nervous system, your central channel, to bring your Lama into your heart. And then growing your love. Growing your love begins with growing your love for yourself. So as that love of your Lama's deep love fills you up. And so in that moment, you say to yourself, oh, I'm loved. I am loved. And if you're present with it, it's your whole body might fill with bliss at that opportunity to be loved by your Lama. And if you use the breath to energize that love on the inhale and expand it on the exhale, then being present with that expansion, notice it, how it's pouring through your pores. It's shining through all of your pores, and it creates this aura of light around you. So that you feel yourself as this fabulous light being with all this loving light around you. And then you can take whatever experience you have had that comes to mind, maybe an experience with a homeless person. I sometimes do that. It's helpful to me to have this person who is in front of me, and I direct my loving kindness to them, sending them, taking away all of their problems and giving them whatever they need to be happy. And you can do that to people anyone. These are mainly strangers, but you can do it for people who are in your life, that you do it specifically for people who you disagree with, who you feel has harmed you. It makes a big difference because it dissipates a feeling, any sandpaper in the relationship when you give people love. And then you let that love go on out and you think about all the things that are happening in the world, whatever you hear on the news, whatever suffering there is out there, and just go all the way out to fill slowly. You can go to a certain country, you can go to a certain disaster area, and just take away all the pain and let it energize the love at your heart. And grow it. It grows it. So it's a very pleasant practice because you really feel loving. And love is a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Love is wishing the beloved to have happiness in all of its causes. And compassion is wishing the beloved to be free of suffering and all of its causes. Buddhas are born from love. I say that. I made a little graphic at one point in time. So from love comes compassion. And from loving compassion comes a wish to do something about it, a universal responsibility. And from that universal responsibility comes a wish to actually, when you look at it, I can't do it now. I want to, and I can't. So now I want to become a Buddha. So I become a bodhisattva, one who's wishing to become a Buddha. And a bodhisattva, Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. So I say Buddhas are born from love. Most important thing is to grow this wish for whoever is in front of you to be happy. This warm-heartedness. So you bring all of that loving energy then back in and dissolve it, just like we do. Dissolve it completely, watching it come all the way down into that small sphere of light, and then be present with that in your heart. Stay there and watch it just get smaller, 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 until it becomes imperceivable. And from there, your awareness, you just sit in this perfect awareness of emptiness, naked. And through the power of that, going through all of those steps, it brings the mind to that state much more readily, much easier. To just sit down and say, oh yeah, okay, now mind is empty. All right. Pure luminous awareness. It's like tilling a garden. You can throw the seeds on top of the hard soil, but it's not really going to germinate. So this is what's important. Most important, to go through the steps to bring you to that. So then from this state of emptiness, sitting, set a timer, maybe stay for 10 minutes in this naked awareness, resting evenly in momentary present awareness, not rejecting or accepting anything, just resting there, naturally. Maybe 10 minutes. And then allow the idea that the fundamental energy of my mind is compassion. So I remember, out of compassion, out of a wish to dispel the suffering of the world, I arise in my bodhisattva body. And then dedicate this energy that you've created to actualize what you're dreaming. So that is the way to go through your daily practice. And you do that every day, you will change your mind. You find ways to do it that fit your schedule. So maybe prostrations, once you learn them, take 15 minutes. So you look at how much time you're willing to allot to your practice. And then you have to go to work at such and such a time. And normally, you get up, takes you maybe half an hour to do your whatever you do to get ready to go to work. So you get up an hour early. You can do all of this very easily in an hour. You can do it in 45 minutes. You could probably do it in less. The point is to be thoroughly present with every aspect of it and really try to feel what happens when you do that. And once you begin to become so familiar with it that it's like second nature to you, then you can drop into these various blissful states of mind anytime, in a short period of time. So I thought that it was important for me to share that. Good enough, dear?
Water bowls are left and right.
Yes, they are left to right, generally speaking. If you have, it's right to left, depending on different practices that you're doing. But typically in the beginning, they say set them like that. I debate with myself about that, and I'll tell you why. Because when I set my water bowls up, I'm thinking that I'm setting them up so that you're out there and I'm offering them to you. And you're going to receive them from left to right. So I would be sitting them up from right to left. That's right. But that's not the way I was taught. I was taught to set them left to right. In other words, that's the way I was taught initially. And then when you're doing a tantric practice, you're offering to the front generation, the generation of the deities and the holy beings that are out there. But then once they dissolve into you, you take the aspect of the deity and you're offering them to yourself. So you set up two sets of water bowls, one going to the right and one going to the left. But that's just an aside. But it's nice to have those water bowls there, because you can actually imbue them with all kinds of wonderful thoughts. There's the beautiful flowers. You can actually put real flowers in your water bowl. You can have your incense can be rice with some incense sticks in it. And I have actually a crystal flower that I use. And I have a little bell that's a little dancing angel that was my mother's, or a little dancing woman, like a old-fashioned, that's ceramic. And I use that for music. But yeah. Questions? Hmm?
Did you have a question? We have one here.
Please.
Hello,
Unmute.
hi Elaine, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hello, sorry. I just missed the part about the two sets of water bowls and going from left to the right, because I know
Right.
you're meant to do everything from the left, and I think I'm doing my one set of water bowls from the right.
Right.
So
Right.
so do
Yes.
I need two
That's
sets?
good. No, don't change that. That's
Okay.
fine. That's fine, because when you're having them set up from your right to your left, it's actually the person in front of you, your lama and the deity are receiving them from their left to right.
Oh,
Right? So
yes.
that's totally perfect. Totally
Okay.
perfect.
And I'm sorry, could you just repeat about the two sets of water bowls?
So when you are doing a tantric practice and arising, if you've had a tantric initiation, tantra uses the path, uses enlightenment as the path. So seeing oneself as an enlightened being. So in order to generate that, your lama dissolves into you and you arise as the deity. You have been given permission through the power of the initiation to arise as the deity. So in the beginning, you are offering those water bowls that you have set up from right to left to the front generation, the deity, the mandala of the deity into which you have been initiated. So you are making those offerings to them. But then after they have dissolved into you and you are arising as the deity, then offerings are being made to you. And so you have a set of water bowls that are from your left to your right. So there are two sets of water bowls if you are practicing a tantric sadhana, because you're offering both to the outer generation and to the front generation and to the self generation. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But
Yeah.
then do we do the second water bowl after we do the sadhana? Do we do them all?
When you're doing a sadhana and and yes, you set it up in the beginning. You do two sets of water bowls before you get started. Yeah, they're there already.
I have a question.
Please.
So, as you know, I'm always looking for shortcuts. And so if you're doing a Nundro practice in retreat, like water bowl Nundro practice, and so I have, in the middle of the night, I think about these things, so how I can come up with like a thing to like if you're doing 100,000 water bowls, and you want to do it in 30 days, like, can you, like, I was thinking about creating a contraption that can fill the water bowls and many of them at the same time that it would take and fill like 7 or 14 of them, Would that be kosher? I mean, you do all the visualization and all that stuff, and, but it's like, let's say I have like 100 water bowls and I have this contraption that can fill them, like 10 at a time, right? Would that work? Is that okay?
Tell a story.
Okay, so that's what I'm wondering. I can't remember.
Well, I'll share the story that Venerable Dundrup asked me to share. I went to Los Angeles to hear His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It was at UCLA in the arena sometime in the 90s. And he gave a teaching, and then he gave a public talk. So the whole basketball arena was full. There were people up in the very back part. And somebody said, he took questions then at the end, and somebody asked him, he says, here in the West, in America, he said, here in America, we are really busy. We have so much, the working and so many activities. We're really busy. So what's the quickest way? And His Holiness actually cried when he told the story of Gampopa going to Milarepa. He knew it was the last time he would see him. And he asked him, what's the quickest way? And Milarepa turned around and lifted his lungi and showed him the calluses on his bottom. So I think you have to answer that question.
Well, I have, this I know, I've been told by a number of, and I've tried to get other people, so if you do water bowls together.
You can count them. That's right.
Others, the ones that they're doing as well.
That's
they
right.
count. That's the only one in the practices you can do that.
That's right.
So I've tried to get other people to do it with me so that all of us can have a shortcut. But so far, I even tried to budget planning there. But nobody would take me up on the offer.
It has happened that we have had water bowl retreats where several people have come and done that. Yes, I
But I heard, I think that again, I can't remember, but you can't like have three people doing it. You have to be in the same physical place doing it. You can't just be online and, kind of doing it.
We're always looking for the way to get it done more quickly. It's not about getting it done. It's really about a state of mind that we are creating. It's hard to do 100,000 of anything. And there's a rebellion that happens in the mind to do these. And in the West, I think our attitude is really get her done. It really is. And is there benefit? Yes, I think there's probably benefit. But I have come to a place myself of thinking, and this, don't believe what I say, but thinking that the most important aspect is to really be present with what we're doing. And if we're hurrying through, believe me, am I guilty of really trying to finish something, to get it done? Yes. I've done 4 Leirungs and approximation retreats, and I have a better retreat if I don't count. If my point is I divide the sadhana into 4 parts, and I do 1 part in each session, each of the 4 sessions, so that I am being one with the meaning of the part, whatever it is, the aspect, whatever I'm doing, I'm one with that. Otherwise, doing a sadhana 4 times a day, I'm just doing it. I'm just getting through it, just hurrying up to get done with that sadhana. So I do believe that there's benefit to doing a Leirung and reciting 100,000 mantras. I think there is benefit to that. But not to get it done in a month or in 3 weeks, but to take 3 months. Not if it's Vajrasattva mantra, 6 months. Because the point is not the counting. The point really is to completely destroy, completely eliminate the self-cherishing, the idea of a self here doing this practice, and to become one with the true nature of mind. And to recognize when we are rushing through whatever it is that we're doing. I mean, I can catch myself trying to hurry up doing 10 rounds of breathing. Take a shorter breath. I can see if I have decided that I have a limited amount of time to do a practice, then I want to hurry through it. And there is a state of mind that's engendered when I'm hurrying. And I have to stop. I have to pause. I told Nancy when I was moving out of the house, I said, I started to rush. And I walked into the bedroom to pack. And then I said, no, I will not rush. So I went back and told Nancy, I will not rush. And then I went back and packed. And I packed in a way that I didn't rush, but I was ready when it was time to go. I was still ready when it was time to go. So I think more than anything else, it's a matter of what's happening in my mind. Just remembering making nice offerings. I've watched my mind try to make really nice offering when somebody's going to come. I want my gompa to look really nice. And I remember the story of the yogi that was his benefactor was coming. And he made super nice offerings on his altar. And then he realized that he was doing it, why he was doing it. And he just took his hand and he just pushed the offerings off the altar because he realized that his motivation was not pure. And unless we have the intention and watch the mind, we get tripped up every which way but loose. It's just the way the mind is working. So just what's the habit of my mind? Oh yeah. What's happening again? Checking. What's happening again? Checking. And coming to that place. When we do these practices the way they are meant to be practiced, the mind actually gives up and does see its empty nature. It is possible looking to try to find that one and actually seeing the empty nature of mind. No more intellectualizing. Oh, well, it's like this because if you go through it, you can't find anything. There's no atoms, this. No intellectualizing, just knowing beyond a doubt that everything is empty. And the mind, that's just seeing the truth of that. But just seeing the truth of that once does not change the mind forever and ever. We still slip back into that. They say, now you have to habituate in that. And you habituate in that by habituating, by sitting, by being present as much as possible and recognizing when we're not present anymore. We're rushing. And notice what happens in the heart when we're in a hurry, or when we don't like something, or when we really want something. What's happening? It's moving the mind from this state of peace. It's simple. But I do know this. All my life, I've tried to make shortcuts. When I was computer shortcuts, I memorized the computer shortcuts when I was a graphic designer and really got to know very quickly. And then they would change them. New program, new shortcuts. And that was probably pretty good for my mind. But this is, I think you should probably ask Venerable Renee again. I would take wholeheartedly what he says. For those of you who have not met Venerable Renee, I think you should consider inviting him to Thupten Norbuling. Have you?
I'll try.
Yeah, he's pretty much of a hermit, but he is a remarkable teacher. and a remarkable human being. So, if you can probably find some of his teachings on YouTube, go listen to him a bit. And he's right now, he is teaching bodhicitta, lamrim, and Mahamudra. And does he have a requirement? I haven't seen any requirement to join this class. You just have to register, and then you will be welcomed into the Facebook group, and then you will be able to hear his teachings. He started last week on Tuesdays. He's teaching Tuesdays at 9 o'clock on Zoom, Pacific time. Pacific time, yes, on Zoom. So if you have an opportunity to sit with him, it's very worthwhile. Yes, in Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. Years and years ago, Venerable Renee and I think maybe it was Venerable Sarah that he had talked to. Anyway, he was going to do a retreat at Vajrapani, and so Venerable Renee and I were working on these Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga tunes and trying to get them as close to the Tibetan as possible and metered in English with the right words. It had already been translated to be metered, and working over and over and over again to get these as close as possible. So it was a bit of an elaborate tune for some of them. And Venerable Renee likes it to be a little more. So I noticed this time that and also the last time, they're more easygoing. They're not as elaborate as what we had originally created, which I've memorized those tunes. But it doesn't matter, just to be able to do that and chant that and be with that. And that the prayer that is Shanti Deva's dedication prayer. I love that prayer. I love chanting that prayer, and I love chanting it when I'm driving down the road. I think, Bade, didn't you say that when you're chanting, you remember the words, you learn the words more quickly, and this is true. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche told me when we were doing Vajrayogini chants, he said, chants move the Dakinis' hearts. So
It's also easier to meditate.
yes. Yeah. So, all right, it's 12 o'clock. Thank you. Let's dedicate this good energy that we have created to actualizing our wish that all of our lamas remain and teach, and that those who have left this body, may they return quickly, so that we might actually hear them again in this life. Yeah, okay. Now we can help prepare the meal. We'll come cut.